0 concurrent viewers. This is what happens when you throw it up real fast. I'll give it a second. People are just coming down off the big. You know, I got a copyright hit for playing that earlier. I had to file a dispute and go, that song is kind of public domain, but somebody claimed to own it. And you know what? I'll guarantee you I know what happened. Somebody got that same backing. That's a James Santiago backing track from 2009. And someone else has that same backing track and probably did it, and the software just matched it up, and they're like, oh, you did it's a copyright thing. Like, no, it isn't. You don't own that backing track either. What's up, guys? No, Buddy is, I think Buddy's upstairs. Cutie's over there, though. You just missed her. You're up, yeah. So I watched is it Dick Clark's Ryan Seacrest Rockin' New Year? Are they ever going to get rid of the Dick Clark name? You know, that guy becomes more irrelevant every year, and yet somehow, some way, I know he's probably the executive producer of the Family Is, but let's see, they had all your current favorites. Of course, they had the New Edition. I think they're renaming themselves the Old Edition. And then they had Duran Duran, which sadly is down to just one Duran. May you rest in peace. And then the worst was they had this chick who kept doing, I think it was comedy or an attempt at it. I was like screaming at the screen like, this is terrible. That's not funny. You're not funny. It's like, well, Dick Clark's, big claim to fame was, in what? When was Dick Clark's? Was it like 1965? It's like, God. Yeah, I think the name is, I guarantee you that when he passed away, he made sure that come hell or high water, that Dick's, it would always be named that unless they got rid of the production and did. I don't know. You wonder, he signed into a 150-year contract with ABC. Yeah. I watched a little bit of CNN. The alcohol was sorely missed. And the other thing I forgot is that Anderson Cooper giggles. He has what we would call a titter. That was cutting through me like an ice pick to the forehead. Anyway, how was your New Year's? Was it rockin'? Oh, thanks, Jace. Just tried to play the Pacer again. Nice. Can't go wrong with the Pacer. Yeah, American Bandstand. When did American Bandstand, literally end? Was it the 80s? I feel like it didn't even get that far. Oh, my God. Don't get me started. It's 2023. This is my 2023 in a nutshell. And another thing. Why do people enter contests and then never claim their prize? No one knows. You have the flu? Yeah, we were pretty sick 2 weeks leading up to Christmas. You can hear it in my voice when I do the winners video. And as a matter of fact, I shot some Darner footage that's going to come out in January. I wanted to get it out of the way. And you can really hear it in my voice in that one too. Debating buying a hollow body Godin. I've heard good things. You know, did you win? Sadly, Larry John? No. In fact, you actually owe me $5. No, my son's he's all back, 100%. He really did have like a noticeable improvement like Christmas Day. Like massive improvement. And then each day from there got even better. And in fact, the doctor kind of said that. He said, you know, it comes on quickly and it sort of goes away quickly. And so he was good. There you go. Happy New Year, Darren. Really? Did American Bandstand went to they limped into 89, huh? Yeah, 52. And was he heading it up in 52, or was it started by someone else? I want to think it was started by him. That sounds about right. Dick Clark in like 1952. Welcome to a new medium we're calling television. Here now are people dancing on screen. We're calling it the American Bandstand with Richard Clark. Yeah, another copyright strike. Yeah, I think it's the people going. What's going on here? Oh, I think that's someone coming home. Yeah, that's someone coming home. I'm not going out. Ron's up. Good to see you, buddy. I don't know. I don't know enough about that. That sounds like a low price compared for any. Is the thin line? Is that a Squire or is that a Fender? If it's a Fender, I'm just telling you right now, $400 for any Fender right now is pretty good, especially if it comes with a case. If it's a Squire, that's a little bit more of a gray area. Some are and some aren't. It just depends. But if it's Fender, I think 400 is a good price. I'm not seeing prices that low anymore. Just not. What year is this Kramer? 83. Good year. I got my license in 83, 17. Went to Berkeley that summer. It's a good year. Happy rockin' New Year's. My New Year's gift to myself is a brand new EVH Frankie. Nice. Yeah, we should, you know what? We should be giving ourselves New Year's gifts. Thank you. Why stop at Christmas? I mean, come on. Don't get cheap on me, bro. Yeah, it's a Fender. That's actually a pretty good price. I'm gonna tell you right now, with a case, even if it's a bag, $400 is pretty good. That's pretty good. You know, it might be a little bit less because it's a thin line. It's got the F-hole, right? So some people just aren't into that. Maybe it's a trickier sell. But I'm not seeing Fenders. I'm seeing Squires at $399. I'm not seeing too many Fenders there right now. We could take a quick look at the I'm also seeing the stock finally start to shrink. They're not bringing any more. Yeah, they're down to 61. That was at 68,000 a few days ago. They've dropped about 7,000 pieces of gear, across all formats, drums, PA, guitars. It's not just guitars. It's, So let's go Fender. And let's go low to high. Oh, crap. I don't know. I hate it when they mix the acoustics in. Yeah, see, look at this. The cheapest $349 for a Paranormal offset. Again, that's a trickier sell. A Duosonic, that's a simpler guitar. A Modern Player, there's the closest thing to your Tele, and that's $399, and they just go up from there. Another Player at $399, fair condition though. Who knows what the hell the Maniac did to that? Then it's up to $430, $444, $450. Again, fair condition. Good condition, $460. That's a lead. It's kind of a simple guitar. Again, $459. There's a standard Tele at $460. I'm telling you, $400 on a Fender branded item right now. Do they have a thin line here? You gotta remember, the great thing about Guitar Center is that it's from all over the U.S. So you're not just regionally locked to, markets. It's every market that, they have a store, which is quite a few, actually. They're pretty friggin' big. Again, now you're already into the fives. I'm not seeing a 60 Strat and someone put a humbucker in it. Okay. I really doubt that that's a 60 Strat. No, the tuning pegs, that's not a 60 Strat. In fact, that 60 Strat, that looks like a 2. Like a very faint. If there's a red in there, I'm not really seeing it. That almost looks like a 2-color sunburst, right? Brown to black. That feels more 50s to me. Oh, and it's a veneer. There's your giveaway right there. When they veneer the back to cover up the slabs of wood, they bring the black down into way into the body. Yeah. Not seeing it. Anyway, there's a thin line, fair condition for $550. If that gives you any indication. USA Fender's the only one that matters? Well, some people would say any Fender made in North America, which would cover Mexico as well. Quite frankly, I always thought that most of my Japanese Fenders blew away any of my American Fenders. Just being honest on that, fit and finish was just light years beyond what was coming out of Fullerton, in the late 70s, early 80s. In the late 80s, they started to get their act. Quite frankly, I don't feel like Fender really quite got their shit together till about 2006, if I'm being honest. And quality started to go up. They had didn't they have a fire or something like that? And the Mexi stuff got much better. They were retooled everything. I always thought that the MIJ stuff just crushed most of the made in American stuff. The bell of shame, first shame bell of 20 of the new year. We're gonna ring in the new year. Shame. Got your Stream Strat 77. So the 70s are kind of funny years, they were sort of all over the place. It depended really on the guitar you had in your hand. That's back when they said you got to go in and try it out before you before you buy it. That was true back then because there's such inconsistency, between model to model. MIJ only 2 years? No. MIJ started in 82 and pretty much continues to this day. They were Fujigen up until about, I want to say, was it the late 90s or the early 2000s? Might have been the early 2000s, and they went to Dynagaki. Before then, it was all Fujigen. There's an old saying: you can get a Fender made in Mexico by Mexicans, or you can get a Fender made in the U.S. by Mexicans. Who are the most famous builders at Fender? John Cruz, Abigail Ibarra. I mean, come on, people. I would say the main difference between them is the hardware. Right, they'll put a higher quality pickup generally in the USA made one, and maybe a little bit better bridge. That's about it. I never learned Amsterdam. I don't know a lot of his later stuff. Harley Benton Fusion T or an ERT T380. Oh, geez, that's tough. Those are both pretty good guitars, actually. I might go ERT on that. I don't know. It's tough to say. I'd have to try the Harley Benton again. Oh. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Hold on. I'm hearing something. That's better. Yes, YouTube copyright, please. Can you believe they flagged me for Auld Lang Syne? I'm like, and they got me for Silent Night one year. I'm like, these are public domain songs. Oh, thanks, Rico B. Happy New Year to you. Thank you, man. Thanks for all the great content in 2022. Looking forward to 2023, as am I. And we're off to a good start. I don't really know any Metallica. Never bought a Metallica album. We've been through this. Not really a fan. I can sum up Metallica: shitty drummer, shitty lead guitar, meh vocals, pretty good riffs though. Got to admit, guy writes a good riff. But in fact, I would say that "Sad But True" is one of the great metal riffs. Really is. Never learned it. Don't care to. But I will admit that that's a pretty damn good riff. Some Dokken. Do I know Dokken? Trying to think. I used to know a ton of Dokken. I'm tough but fair. Yeah, no, well, Metallica's crying all the way to the bank, so. Yeah, Toys in the Attic, do I own that? Something like that. Little Dokken. What else? I used to know Dokken, but I don't. Can't think of it. Can't think of it. It's not really a request line anyway, but thanks. Yo, what's up, Jay Schaff? You ever play slide guitar? Not really. You kind of need a guitar. What you find out is you kind of need a guitar with a nut that's cut really high, like literally like sort of made for slide, right? Give you a nice gap between the strings so you're not accidentally bumping into the frets. Some people do it just by raising the bridge, but it's not quite the same. You kind of do need like a little bit, the nut cut a little bit more shallow to raise those strings up a little bit. To have a guitar really properly set up for slide. You know. Yeah, you know, I never really knew Chip Away at the Stone Sassy Cat until the live album. Right? That's where I really learned that tune, was because of it was included on the what was it, Night in the Ruts? Happy New Year, Mark. Thanks, Chase. Yeah, was it live bootleg? Yeah, live bootleg. Yeah. Sitting like a prima donna, acting too long, I was myself, I guess, sipping myself. Chip that stone away, chip away. That's what I'm gonna do. Sweet little mama, gonna get next to you. See, he just got sued for like rape. But it was kind of a weird thing when you really read the story. It's that like the statute of limitations, this is from like the 70s. The statute of limitations had long passed, but they had opened up a window where you could sue for this like small period of window, right? And that expired like tonight. It expired at like, last night at like midnight. It expires in 2022. So it felt like they just rushed that complaint out just to have something on the books prior to the new statute of limitations tolling. You see what I'm saying? So who knows? It's probably of, you know, it feels like there's not going to be much of a way to prove what is being claimed. Ugh, ooh, that is good. Great news. Searching went very well, but they're keeping her overnight. Who's this? Well, going back music there. I'm looking up a little bit more. Gonna give her a good night's in hell. Yeah, wow. A white amp? I don't have a white amp. There's no white amp. White guitar. A white guitar. There's a black amp right there. That's about it. That's a box for an interface. You mean way back there? That's a PV6505 Plus. Did you name the appendix? Oh, so you had your appendix? Someone had their appendix out. It's funny. I have worked in so many, office jobs. Like setting up the appendices was a real thing. It's in the appendix, section D. Ever play the Kramer Classic anymore? No, not really. I should probably sell it. I got this one now. Don't need to. Maybe I'll throw it up on Reverb. Under the mixer, right there, that's a PV Viper 100. The white amp with orange, you mean this? That's not an amp, that's a box. It contains a Focusrite Solo in it, and that's an orange amp. And that's a box of strings. Yeah, I've heard of Carlino guitars. Yeah. I feel like he got some, I think he got some grief from Gibson because he was making like Paul Stanley rhinestone guitars, and he might have done a V, and they weren't happy about it. Or maybe it was Ibanez that gave him crap. Maybe he made an Iceman, and they're like, that's kind of our design. I don't know, I feel like Carlino was trying to work with Paul Stanley, and I don't know where that's at now. You mean, what are you talking about? Over, what, that? That's a cab. It's not an amp. It's a Panama cab with a couple of speakers in it, 212s. The only amp I really have is that one there. Everything else is just cabs. Hughes and Kettner cab, Panama cab. It's cabs. You might be talking about the Marauder, a Panama Marauder. Kind of looks like a tweed. It's a Panama Marauder. I know it's a head. I just said what it was. It's a Panama Marauder. What are you talking about, bro? What do you think? What? You're pissing me off. You're officially pissing me the fuck off. So, what the fuck are you fucking talking about? All right? Holy shit. What? The fucking Marauder? The fucking Panama? Are we fucking having fucking fun yet? It's the Panama. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Happy? Jesus. Gotta play that riff. there's no humidifier. And back there, you mean the box fan? You mean the fucking box fan back there, bro? I don't know. No one knows what you're looking at. And this is very important. No one cares what you're looking at. Oh, well, thank you, Nelson. We're back. Yeah. Blackout. Oh, how does that go? I think it's an E, right? I think it's E. Right? Yeah. Do. Bringing in the news and ears, right? Exactly. Don't make me reach through this camera. Panama started out strong. Well, what we found out, BC Rich, is that Panama was just a rebadged Chinese amp that you could buy for literally half the money. Now, all that dude did was take the guts out of these Chinese amps and stick them in and put a new badge on it and called it Panama. But the Murata he was selling for $9.99, you could get that exact amp for $4.99. Like identical in every way except the name. Same with the Loco, same with the Shaman. You know, that was all. In fact, that harmonic content limiter that he had put in there was like his own design. It tacked on like $100 to the cost. He wound up pulling it because it really didn't make it. Only worked on one channel. It didn't really make a difference. And so that, you know, that, and the funny thing is, you know, I used to talk with that dude over like Skype. And he was like, oh, you know, I designed these, and these are my design, and all this stuff. It was all bullshit. It was all just a total lie. Yeah, it's all just rebadged Chinese. All of it. In fact, you know who really broke the story on that was Tone King. And then when I forget the name of the brand. If you look up, I forget the name of the brand. I wish I could remember it. But if you look up that brand, and you start to look at the panel. Now, they may look like a little bit different design. He didn't have the beak knobs. Maybe they have round knobs. But every single thing in that lineup is exactly the same on the Chinese one as on the Panama. Exactly. Right? Like just different knobs and like a different plate on the front. But the internal guts are identical. And I will say this. I did have one of the little ones. What was it? It was the... not the Marauder. That's the big one. What was the tiny one that he made? It was like a 5-watt amp, like one volume and one tone, and that was it. But it was cheap, right? It was his like least expensive tube amp. Mine, not the Loco. It was even smaller than the Loco. And the Loco was 15 watts. These were 5 watts. And, God, it was the Marauder was the big one, and what the hell was the small one? I can't even remember it. And they wound up smoking. I had it on, and and I was making my demo, and it started, giving off a little bit of smoke. And so immediately I reached this. It wasn't. It hadn't gone live yet. He hadn't put that amp out yet. So I emailed him. I'm like, hey dude, just to let you know, my amp was giving off a little bit of smoke here. And he's like, oh, I want to talk to you. I have to see the stream. And he had me open up. He had me open up the panel so he could look inside, which was all, again, just an exercise in futility. He had no idea what he was looking at. And he had me can you show me this on camera? It was all just for show. He had no idea what he was looking at. But I will say this. When I did open it up and I looked inside, I thought the soldering on that board was impeccable. Some of the best. There were large, rectangular resistors that they were soldered so friggin' well. I was like, this is really top work. It really looks good. Really good. And what it was is his whole thing was he added the attenuator in the back, right? He put it in a new cab and he added put it in a new, box, new enclosure, and he added that attenuator in the back. And it was the attenuator that was smoking. And what he wound up doing, I think, is when they went out, is that rather than use a 10 watt or a 15 watt attenuator, I think he bumped it up to 20, because what had happened was it just heated up and he just gave off a little bit of smoke, and it never smoked again. But it kind of spooked him, and I was like, dude, you might have a problem with these amps. Wasn't the Fuego. What was was it an Ambassador? Let me see if I can find an image of it. Yeah. Not the low Conqueror. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Let me move it over here so you can see it. That one. This one right here. The Conqueror. 5 watt. I remember the Loco was 15. I never had an Inferno. I did have the Shaman. And I think the only one I have left now is the Marauder, because it's way too big to try and ship, or I'd dump that on Reverb. But it weighs a ton. It's enormous. It's going to be ridiculous shipping costs. And quite frankly, I don't trust it. I think I'm going to ship it, and the guy's going to get it. He's going to say it doesn't work. It's going to break in shipping. So I don't want to do that. The other one is a Loco, which I did sell on Reverb. And right before I put it in there in the box, I said, you know what? Why don't you, because I hadn't turned it on in a while. I said, you should fire this up and make sure this works before you stick this in a box. I just took pictures and threw it up there. And I was like, you know what? You should fire this up. I turn it on, it won't work. It's making noises. It's humming, and I had an email to dude. I said, hey, just so you know, I just went through and checked that amp out, and it's not working correctly. So, I think I should just refund your money. And he was like, oh, do you have any other amps? And I was like, well, I do. I have a Fuego X I'll send you, in lieu of the Loco. I didn't care, And he goes, is it purple? I go, no. He goes, yeah, then I don't want it. Sure. I get it. I think Panama's out of business now. Yeah, I mean, he was saying that they were basically made in Panama, and to some degree they were, but none of the electronics were. He bought those amps out of China and basically stuck them in a Panama enclosure. It said they were made in Panama, and they weren't. The enclosure might have been made in Panama, but the rest of it wasn't. None of the part that counts, right? It's I just got this bike. It says it's made in America. Coming to find out, the bike was made in China. The box, however, was made in America. Yeah, when I said made in America, I just meant the box. Fuego X is the one you have, yeah. Yeah, the only one I have left is the Marauder, which is supposed to be like a tweed. And the Loco, which doesn't work. Sean's up. What's up, buddy? Happy New Year's. To you, fingers. We have to do it. I did not catch Strago's collection video. I suspect it's fairly Gibson heavy. I would think. I do not know any Alice in Chains riffs. Again, that's a band that sort of came out after. When did Alice in Chains come out? 88, 89? By then I was on the, you know. I was way into like Mike Stern, John Scofield. Probably out. I did see Henning. It sucks that, unfortunately, Ibanez USA doesn't really do much with YouTubers. You know, Ibanez Germany does, but Ibanez USA, they don't seem to want to do the YouTube thing. I don't really know much Guns N' Roses. Again, another band that came out. They were a movie soundtrack band to start, and they got, you know, bigger, but I was never really a big Guns N' Roses fan. Again, came out, you know, Guns N' Roses hit it big when I was 23. They're about 10 years late. If they came out when I was 13, I'd probably be way more into them. You know, that Ibanez little preamp did seem pretty good, though. Been gassing on a Super Strat. Nice. Opinion on the new Kramers. The new Kramers are real good. And Super Strats, I kind of like Kramer, Charvel. Who else makes a good Super Strat? Those are the two brands that come to mind right away. Jackson. You know, but Jackson's a bit pointy. You know, if you want a more traditional look, I'd go, you know, more rounded body. You might want to go Kramer or Charvel. Yeah, Henning's good. At what? Nobody knows. But someday we'll know. I always give Henning shit, because I can. You know how the pace of reissues compared to the original? Well, I don't think they're nearly as glossy. These these have a much glossier coat on the neck. I want to say that all of the new Kramers are satin necks. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure though. I'm pretty sure they're glossy. And only on the painted ones, if it's got a natural wood finish, then it's going to be a satin feel, which might be fine. Oh, thanks, Chris. You know, I've been trying to play a little bit more acoustic. I just restrung my Ovation then. Am I going to NAMM? People already posting passes they got already. I'm not going to go to NAMM until it's back in January again. I have no interest to go to NAMM in April. None. Or June for that matter. So whenever they're back in January, you know, when the show's back in January, which I think is going to be 2024, I'll go then. But, you know, the reason why it's in January is because the hotels are a lot cheaper, except for, of course, NAMM week. But I feel like it's even worse. Certainly last year when it was in June, it was crazy what they were asking for hotels. Like through the friggin' roof. You know, a room that was normally, you know, $165 was suddenly like, you know, like literally like $650 a night, like some stupid number. Because they had Disney, and plus they had the NAMM show. And besides, you know, Andrew brings up a good point. Who wants to fly? Give the airline and industry a year to work out the kinks. You know, JetBlue. I used to fly JetBlue all the time, and they were like friggin' on time. They had one of the lowest, like, you know, late departure rates of like any airline. And man, have they crashed hard. They've really. My wife took JetBlue, and man, it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. They were like 5-hour delay on the tarmac, then another like 5-hour delay. Like then they're deciding whether or not they're going to have them get off the plane, get back on the plane. Oh my God, I can't deal with that. I'm not ready for that. I can't go do that. So I think what would have to happen is that the airline kind of works their schedule out, and it's back in January again, because it's a lot cheaper to get a hotel out there that week. Although it's crazy because the week of NAMM, you know, a hotel room that was $89 is suddenly $249 a night. It's hard to go to NAMM without spending about $2,000. It's about $2,000 to go to NAMM. So either I'm going to find sponsors to pay me to go and cover their booth or something like that. But yeah, it's very expensive to go to NAMM. NAMM is like going to Vietnam. Not quite that bad, but I can tell you it can be a frustrating mess. Yeah. It's probably not that expensive if you like live in California. You can drive there. You know, Phil McKnight lives in Arizona. He drives to the NAMM show. You know, it's probably like an 8-hour or a 10-hour drive. You know, same with you know, Davidas is in LA now. Trey Xavier is in LA. Who else is out there? There's a bunch out there, actually. Oh man, a little bit of a yawn. You know, the reason why I take JetBlue is because they have the great. They were the only one that had the full screen at every seat. Everybody gets their own TV, and I've had nothing but good luck with JetBlue. And JetBlue has always had a direct flight, like 3 direct flights a day. From Logan to LAX. So it's always it's point to point. You don't have to go through so many airlines hub and spoke, which means you're flying on Delta, but you're stopping in Atlanta. Period. Everybody goes to Atlanta as a clearinghouse, or everybody goes to Newark, or everybody goes to Chicago, right? Like United, has Chicago as pretty much their hub. Everybody in the U.S. goes to Chicago, and then from Chicago it goes from there. But Chicago Airport sucks if you've ever been in it. It's massive, and the delays like crazy, and it's not a good airport. Same reason Atlanta is kind of shitty too. It's like I need a nice point to point. The best one, but they don't have the flight anymore, was Logan to Love Field, which was right down the street from the Dallas Marketplace for the Dallas Guitar Show. I mean, right down the street. Literally a 15-minute drive, and that's a small airport. You get in there, you get on your flight, you back out to Boston like nothing. That was the best. And JetBlue has a lot of flights to Nashville, too. So I take JetBlue to Nashville. But oh my God, it's perfecto. Oh, it's a GoPro like last time. I tell you, that GoPro footage was pretty good though, right, bro? Not bad, right? You got to be careful with not so much with the Brian Johnson stuff, but the Bon Scott. Man, everybody wet their beak in that band. I play a couple of tunes. I get copyright claims from 9 different countries. It's like they had a different record label for every single country, man. It was crazy back then. They must have sold those same songs over and over and over again. I am drinking coffee. It's kind of late. It's 1:23 in the morning. Admittedly, it's a little late for coffee. And I have to be up early tomorrow. I got somebody coming over with a computer that I have to install take out everything in it and put it in a new case. Got a new case to put all the guts into, and a new AIO water cooler, a little liquid cool system, and a new video card. I'm thinking it's going to take a couple hours. And at the same time, the person who's dropping the computer for that work is going to change the sink faucet for me. I just got a new Moen. I'll put a new Moen in upstairs. So while he's doing that, I'll be doing the computer. And hopefully we'll finish up. He's probably going to be done in 20 minutes, and I'm going to be done in friggin' 3 hours. When I don't think he does an overclock, but he's been having He's been having heating issues, I think. He already burned out one set of RAM. I'm like, dude. Well, one thing is like he kept leaving the side panel off. I'm like, you can't do that. You have no. It's all static. You need flow. Believe it or not, taking the side panel off makes it worse. And so it should, I'm hoping the new case in between that and the, I'll use some people put the radiator in the front, but I just feel like that adds, unless you're blowing the air out the front, I feel like that adds heat to the system because you're blowing cool air over a radiator before it gets in the computer. I'd rather do it in the blowhole, do it in the top, put the radiator at the top, and have it blowing straight out through the top. I think it's a better way. The Mobo should be okay. I'm going to do I know he's due for a BIOS upgrade. I think there's been a couple of new BIOSes since it was last year. I'll do a BIOS upgrade, see if that does anything. A lot of times it doesn't, but I swear he blew through a couple of RAM chips, and I think it's just because the thing was just so damn hot. And the RAM is so close to that, the processor. He's running, what is it, a 12770? Is that what it is? The 12th gen i7. And Amazon needed the side panel off, and I see, yeah. Well, that was the other thing, is like, one of the fans was in the wrong direction. It was blowing in instead of blowing out. I was like, oh, dude, you got to swap that fan around. Okay. I went over there like a year later. He hadn't turned it around. I'm like, dude, you got to turn this fan around. Nope. Oh, I didn't do that? No, you didn't. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll do it. He brought it here for another problem. I checked it. It's still blowing in. I'm like, dude, we're exhausting. And I spun it around. Finally. But now that's all going to come out. It's a new case. Use the radiator. It'll be pretty easy. Should be good. The thing that sucks, though, is that the dude just can't leave it alone. I guarantee you when it shows up, the case box will have been open and everything taken out. That AOI, he will have opened it and, take it out just to take a look at it. I wanted to see what it looked like. It's like, dude, now I'm missing, one of the parts, It's like I'm already bracing for missing parts. Cannot, You're not like Mac. The Mac OS seems okay, but, the problem with the Mac is that they're just so ridiculously expensive. The last time I built a video system, I got the second, the new, what is that? The new Ryzen. I got it's a 2700X, which is an 8-core, 16-thread chip, 32 gigs of RAM, and Gen 4. M.2 PCIe, cards. I was getting about 5 gigs a second. Not quite the 7 gigs that the Gen 4s get, but it was a Gen 3. I was still getting, this is in 2019. And, so a Gen, I guess PCI 3x4, not 4x4. And, so like that, and and an RTX 2060, which at the time, was kind of hot shit, much better than my older card, which was like a 1660 Super or something like that. So I had a 2060. And 2 1080p IPS monitors. That whole rig was $1,400. That rig in an Apple would be like $7,000. And that's just for the wheels. I did make a Hackintosh once. I didn't like the OS. You get so used to stuff. They tried to switch my wife to a Mac at her office, and she tried it for a while. Again, she's like, I'm just not that familiar with it, and wound up going back to her PC. Oh, I actually just did that, Overlord. I just upgraded the 2700X to a 5900X. I added 32 gigs of RAM, so I'm up to 64. And I swapped out that 2060 for a 3080. So. Windows 10 is great. Windows 11 just feels like an exercise and change for the sake of change. A lot of it doesn't seem to be better. It seems to be worse. And quite frankly, it all seems to just be designed to get telemetry. They want you to type in more and not click on stuff more. They want you to type in the search boxes because they want to record what you're typing in, and they want to be able to keep a log of what you're doing. It's the telemetry is pretty ridiculous. Now that said, no one gave away my information more than friggin' Apple. I remember being involved like in a case, and there was an attorney on the other side of the case, and I had Facebook installed, and I get like a thing like, oh, like so-and-so, you want to add them in Facebook? I'm like, first of all, how do you even know that I even know that person? Secondly, yeah, we're not friends. And like, thirdly, like, how are you even getting this? And they were like going through my emails, going through my contacts list. Quietly, Apple used to just give all that away. Geolocation information, everything. Then all of a sudden they were like, oh, no, we care about your privacy. No, you didn't. You opened those APIs up to everybody. They could look at where I was going. Now, Facebook is all angry because they're finally putting in like anti-tracking. But, that was in 2008 when that was happening. Now it's 2022. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, we take privacy very seriously. Oh, go on. Happy New Year, Nick. Actually, Vista worked pretty well because I had a video card that was really approved for it. The problem with Vista is that it had that new Luna, and it really needed it needed like DirectX like 10, and anything that didn't support that, it didn't work. Period. And so mine worked great. I was like, what does everybody say? But the problem was that they had approved a bunch of systems, like mainly E-machines, to run Vista, and they had no business running that software. It just was not ready for it. It was just garbage, and that's what really ruined it. Is that? But I never had a problem because I had a better than average video card. Am I gonna mod a Beretta Special with a Floyd? Probably not. That's a lot of work. With a Floyd? I just buy one with a Floyd. I already have a Kramer with a Floyd here, there, the SM1. Yeah, E-machines. There's a blast from the past. Yeah, E-machines was bad. They were no Packard Bell, as we used to call them, packaged hell. And the other thing was trying to create a Hackintosh is that anytime they have any sort of OS change, it's always a big fight. with, getting all your hardware to work again. It's a big pain in the ass. If I was going to do, I'd get like a Mac Mini, Which Mac is, $299? I would spend up to $299. I would expect 64 gigs of RAM. No, I would avoid Panama heads. They're not that good. I would totally avoid them. I like the Orange Mini. Oh, you're listening to it right now. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I tell you, when I used to teach computers, I was teaching Intro to HTML at AGFA, right? AGFA, which made a lot of, when you walk in their office, it's like Emmys everywhere, because they have a lot of Emmys for technical Emmys, right? And they put us out. I remember it was in the winter, and they put us out in this like warehouse, right? Like where they had like this massive like wrapper, right, to wrap pallets of boxes, right? This big plastic thing, and way in the corner of the warehouse, they had a bunch of computers set up, and they were all Macs. Didn't matter though. It was Intro to HTML, and I remember this woman came up to me at the start of the class. She goes, "Just so you know, I'm really interested in like writing code to do like push email." I'm like, "Yeah, we're not covering that in this class. This is Intro to HTML. We're not doing that." So if that's your expectation, you might want to leave now, because we're going to talk about like, what does the H, what does the T, what does the M, what does the L stand for in HTML? Hypertext markup language, great. Now let's talk about setting up, basic stuff. And then they had all these like Mac Quadras. And when the Mac bombs out, right, when it has a problem, it makes a noise like, bink, right? Right? I mean, you literally would make a noise. I cannot tell you, I swear to God, everyone's machine, at least once, if not twice that day, like bombed out and had to crash. And I'd be like, what the hell was that? They're like, "Oh, it's just my machine rebooting itself. It like locked up." I was like, really? Well, it was so much for Mac stability, because my God, I mean, I had been teaching Windows systems for, over a year. We never had a problem like that. So either it was the tech who set those up, but none of them could stay going. They all were like self-booting over what they called bombing out. A little bomb would come up. Oops, something went wrong. Doink, and it would be restarting again. I was like, man, that's pretty bad. Currently turning Emerson to rolling Apple devices. Yeah, it's weird because, Apple, like I said, my wife's work, they sent her a little MacBook, but they're 100% on Google, right? They don't do any local apps. Their entire business is on the Google. You have to sign into your work account in Google. It's all done in Google. It's all done through Google apps and everything. So it's really platform independent. All you need is a browser, and you're in. So she was like, "Do I have to use the Mac?" And they were like, "No, I'm not. fact, I just bought her a laptop for Christmas. I got her a new HP. Loaded. She went from 2 cores to 10 cores. Got her a 12th gen 10 core. They're about to come out with the 13, but, you know, it's not out yet. At least not for a decent price. Loaded, you know, RAM, storage, everything, IPS display, everything you could think of, all metal. Oh God, the thing is so nice. Under $500. How many MacBooks are under 500? Like 12? Happy New Year, Joe. I'm still using the Scarlett. Yeah, I have the Scarlett 18i20. Yeah. 3rd gen. That's what I'm using. 18i20 3rd. Can we switch to this cam right here? There it is right there. Wait, hold on. Let's see if I can get the... There goes the meter. I'll put the humbucker on. Right there. Oh, yeah. I feel like that's off a little bit. Hold on. How does this, like, reset itself every time? I'll never know. There we go. It's like OBS like resets the camera settings. It used to happen when I would reboot, but now it's just, it seems like every time I started it resets it. Which Seymour Duncan's, it's just the JB and the Jazz set. That's all. Yeah, I'm up. Still 22, 20. Oh, no, we're coming to you from the future. That sounds like a lot of goes intos and goes out of it does. But you got to remember, what is it, 16 of those are over ADAT, right? 8 in and 8 out. You can just lob 16 off of both ends. Or is it 8? Probably 8. 8 in and 8 out. Total of 16. Do I use a mic pre? Nope. I have to run this mic through here because it actually does not work with the 18i20 because it's looking to receive a balanced, and when you run 2 mono signals that are unbalanced into a balanced line, it inverts one of them and you get a phase inversion, which knocks out all of the sound except for the noise. It literally cancels everything but the noise. All the signal and none of the noise. If this was a balanced output, which it's not, because it's assuming you're going to plug it into the side of a cam and you want audio out of both ears, so it sends a mono signal because it's only one mic to the left and to the right channels. If it was proper, then you would get all of the signal and none of the noise, but it's not. It's made for, basically any sort of handheld cam that's not expecting a balanced input, expecting a stereo or a double mono. It's a double mono. Okay. Oh, 2010, the cheese grater. Put some CPUs, change the graphics card. Sure. Need a New Year's resolution, make you some new graphics. Yeah, I know. Is it 6 years old already? Have a good one, Highway to Hell. We're going to wrap up here in probably about 15. I'm almost done with my coffee. And I got to be up early tomorrow for the whole computer thing. Mac toasters. Remember the flying toasters? Screensaver? I used to love the Star Trek screensaver. Right? Used to be the Tribble one. I had a whole bunch of ones that were pretty good. Have a good one, Mike. Late 70s, early 80s Yamaha SG2000. Yeah, that's like the double cut, right? Isn't that kind of like what Rick Emmett played? Was that a 2000? GeForce or Radeon? Well, for me, it's always GeForce because it does a better job of integrating with Adobe. Like Adobe and NVIDIA have been in bed forever. So their use of CUDA cores for the rendering, I think that they do a better job than Radeon. And then the other thing is the streaming. Only now, like very recently, has OBS started to support, Radeon for streaming, whereas they have hardware encoding. I'm using it right now. You're soaking in it for the stream, to do a hardware stream, which is why I cut down on all that noise. The software stream was extremely noisy, and the hardware stream, not so much. So kind of need the CUDA cores for that. Either that or Intel QuickSync. You could use Intel. AMD. It's like you've got I don't know if they have native support. It used to be you had to install a plugin. It's all a big mess. They might be there now with OBS, but for the longest time, you were forced to use the hardware. I mean, the software, because they only supported CUDA and QuickSync. Certainly, just for AMD, I think it's worth it. AMD, Adobe, just for Adobe. You can tell it's getting late. Just for Adobe Premiere, because as I understand it, it's still ahead of where the Radeon is in terms of doing hardware accelerated rendering. Eddie, we only pray that it comes out in the next iteration. Friend had a decent Radeon, couldn't get it to stream for squat. For gaming, Radeon's great and definitely a lower cost option. That's what I'm installing tomorrow. I think I'm installing a Radeon, I want to say 6650, that he scored for like $270, like right around Black Friday, which, it's tricky to get any decent. All those cards shot up as supply got wiped out. What's up, Thrash Metal Studio? Yeah, it's been at least a few hours. Been in Boston for 2 weeks, leave tomorrow. It's been unusually mild. This is not normal weather for this time of year. So use a 1070 Ti. Yeah, the 2060 was okay, but I feel like when I go through and I run Premiere, it's the smooth with the 3080. It's not a 3080 Ti, it's just a 3080. I feel like it's the smoothest it's ever been. Like it always would choke in transition. Like if you're just flicking like a hard cut from one to another, no problem. But if you did like any sort of graduated like fade between the two, it would all stutter on the new one until it finally like could catch up. Since I've switched to the 3080, that's all been pretty smooth. Christmas guitar, Gibson Birdland. That's a nice guitar. Looking to buy a new gaming PC. What's the least I can pay for a decent system to get me playing games like a fool? You know, that's a little tricky because you're gonna need a decent video card. I'm thinking if you just went out and bought a pre-built, and you could find something with like a 3070 in it, you're probably looking at like $1,500. You know, I would not get anything prior to Intel 12th gen. 12th gen. All right, the 11th gen is far more crippled than the 12th. The 12th is right, and the 13th is even better. So 12th gen and 13th gen for Intel, really good about for pushing the bits, you know. And then you'd want to you have to get a decent video card, you know. Anything, yeah, for gaming, anything Radeon or NVIDIA will be fine. But again, I'd get a, I'd get a pretty decent video card. That's going to be your biggest, you know, bottleneck. 3080 is a sweet card. Now, I scored mine for ridiculously low. I didn't know. It's funny. I bought it when it hit $699, which is MSRP. And I said, wow, you know, I can't believe I'm scoring this card at like MSRP. But you watch, it'll be down to $649 and then $599 because the new 40 series is coming out. Boy, was I wrong. I checked back on that and the price was up to like $759, $859, like $900 as stock went out, and you had all the third-party people trying to cash out by tacking on a couple of hundy. Yeah, I don't know. If you can find a 3080 for $699. It's not a TI, though. It's just a 3080. But I felt like I really stole that. And again, it feels crazy to even say $700 on a goddamn video card. You know, I better get like 5 years out of this thing. Apple's iBox. Well, you know, Apple's never been particularly good for gaming. You know, unless it's running Windows. But prove me wrong, Apple. Their phones, of course, are great. But I know, $700 on a video card. And that was cheap. How scary is that? It's a spoof iBox instead of Xbox. Yeah, it's insane. Paid $850 for your TI. It's used and modded. Yeah, I tell you, well, we all know. Anybody who knows PCs knows that the graphics card market got a little nutty, right? Got the 3x MSRP. This card, and we're selling it for $499, and you can get it today for only $1,650. Like that was the video card market for a while. A $500 card selling for $1,600. That's all over because of the changes, the crypto fallout, You know, it's just the supply and demand as people started flooding the markets with the old one. And, but it seems to be kind of getting back to normal a little bit. We'll see, maybe another year. Yeah, like 2 years. What's up, Charlie from NJ? Yeah, if you want a game on Apple, the iPad's the way to go. I agree. Probably their best gaming platform by far are their phones and the iPad. All right, dude. So it's 11:55. I want to be in bed by 2, and I got it like little time to get my ass upstairs and finally to bed. Thanks for hanging out second time. I will see you guys in a week, and we'll do it all again as we do every week. And do I have a video coming out this week? Maybe. I have to check. Maybe. We'll see. I have to do a couple of clickbait ones where I like stare down and go, I don't want to do this anymore. And like change strings because I got this new string winder. You know, I quit using this pick because I got a new one. Yeah. Huh. Oh, what did you think? I was quitting YouTube? What? What would make you say that? Oh, all the clickbaits. All right, dudes. Happy New Year. Yeah, at some point, Nick, maybe this year. I got a good feeling about 2023, I'm telling you. We'll do it all again in a week. And until then, have a wonderful week. And there you go. It's going to be so mild around here. They're not predicting below 40 degrees for like 2 weeks. I'll take it. It's the winter that never was. All right, dudes. Happy New Year. And have a good one. And I'll see you in a week.